The first card you have your past is the Eight of Wands, right? So you can see in this, all these wands, obviously this is all about action, lots and lots of action. And I think this is about lots of people talking, lots of people saying things. And I think for you, it felt like you wanted to hide from all these words, all this talking. I think people were saying all kinds of things. Oh, my opinion's this. I want to talk about this, and all about what's happening right now. Oh, this person's done this. Oh, when are we going to be over this lockdown? Oh, when's this going to happen? Oh, this happened. This terrible thing happened. On and on and on. And I think you're just like, oh, I just want to hide from all this information. I just can't. It's just too much for me. And if you look at that little house, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little house just on the left-hand side, right down the bottom. And I think that house represents you, and I think all the wands going across represent all this talk and all these people talking. And you know, a house, if you think about a house up on a hill, houses are built up on hills so that they can protect themselves. So if any armies come along and try and fight them, if any whatever comes, you're up on hill, you're kind of protected, you can see everything around you. So I think that's how you were. I think you were literally letting all these words go above your head, and you were protecting yourself from them. And I just think lots of people were adding stress to you, and you're really just literally, I'm just going to sit by myself, I'm just going to be in my house. And I know we have to do that anyway, or we have to, but this is about how you're feeling about all this information. And I think the other thing here is, you know, people are saying all these different things. And I know this sounds a bit rude. It sounds a bit snooty, actually, but you're not like that. But you're looking for the deep conversations. You're looking for deepness. You want depth here. And so all these people are talking about all kinds of things. And it's a little bit inane, actually. You know, oh, at the grocery shop, at the supermarket, this happened, and this person had two things in their trolley, and this person had one, and this man said this to me, and it's all and that's kind of what a lot of people have been reduced to, sadly, these days. And it's sad, because I hate saying these days, it sounds like I'm about 100 years old, but you know, because we're all inside, we're all inward looking right now, we're all talking about the mundane, and you're all about the deep. You're very, very deep, very, very deep, and this kind of talk drives you crazy. So I think you wanted to get away from that. And the thing is, you only have a few people who you have really close to you anyway, because you only like that kind of very deep conversation. And usually when it's not happening, you don't say very much. So yeah, it's not like you're completely avoiding everyone all the time, but you're in your shell a little bit, because all these kinds of words, noises, all that, you're just letting it all fly over your head, and you're in your little house, locking yourself away. So that's kind of the feeling I'm getting there around that card. I hope that makes sense to you. And I think, yeah, this is the overall feeling of this reading, actually. I'm just looking across at everything. And I think at your core right now is, I only want meaningful connections. I only want meaningful talk. I only want deep talk. I don't want inane talk. I don't want chatter just for the sake of it. It drains me. It exhausts me. I'm locking myself away from all that. So that's kind of what I'm getting everywhere here. Now, the other thing I'm getting here is, this is all about conversation. This is all about messages, and it's messages through the air. So it's online conversation. So I think there's a message that's coming to you, and I think someone definitely wanted to reach out for you, I should say. I think they still do. It doesn't look like this has happened yet. Maybe they have, but I don't think this message has come. And you know, again, you're very, very discerning about you know, who you want to talk to, and all that kind of thing, and what they have to say to you. And yeah, this person who wants to connect to you, I'm just looking down at the Five of Swords, so I may as well talk about that now. So it feels like you had a relationship with someone, and obviously this card, the Five of Swords, it's about a battle, and it's about defeat. Someone's won the battle. These other two men are walking away. They've been defeated. So I think what happened, you're in this relationship. This is someone who's coming back from your past, and you're in this relationship, and you really fought. You fought to keep this going, and you fought and you fought. But the thing is, it feels like you're fighting by yourself. The other person wasn't fighting. And obviously you need two people to fight for things to make it work. And I think in the end, you know, maybe you just thought, well, what am I fighting for? So, I give up. But I think even now, I have to say this, you might say no, you might say, no, I don't want to see them anymore, I don't want them anymore. There is a little bit of emotion still inside you for them. There's a bit of fire in you, actually, a bit of a flame. And I think you still have that little bit inside you. Sometimes it makes you angry, sometimes you're mad at them. But if you still have that feeling, even if it's anger, it's still something for them, it's still a feeling for them. So I'm getting that inside you. And so I think when they connect with you, and I think you will, I think they will, you might be angry, actually. I'm getting a bit of that. I'm getting this flame. And with the Eight of Wands, obviously that's all about fire, flames, fire signs. So you've got a little bit of a flame for them inside you, even if you hate them. That's kind of what I'm getting there. And the thing is, I think you can tell that they're going to contact you. I think you know when someone's in your energy. You're a very, very intuitive person, and you've got the High Priestess there. I can just see over there. So very, very intuitive. And you can feel when someone's in your energy, especially this particular person, because you do have that flame for them. You've got that little bit of them inside you. And so I think you're feeling that they're going to come and talk to you. And the other thing I'm seeing is there's a little bit of a deja vu here, because I think you've been here before with them. I think they've contacted you before. And maybe you've had your hopes up before for this person, and then you lost that hope. Because I'm getting this energy around you. And again, it's the main theme of this reading. I think I'm seeing it everywhere. Protectiveness, self-protection. So I think when they contact you, you're going to feel a lot like, no, I need to protect myself. I need to protect myself from this. But then again, there's this little part of you, this little flame of them that's inside you. And just looking up at this house again, again, you're protecting yourself. You're protecting yourself, closing ranks, closing yourself in, locking yourself in. Again, it doesn't look like you'll be interested in this person. You'll be interested in protecting yourself. That's it. That's the logical side of you. That's the logical side of you. But the emotional side of you might just be like, oh, what do they have to say to me? Let's listen. Let's just see what they have to say. So there's that little thing that's still there, and it's been there for a long, long time, I think. Okay, so the last card you have your past is the King of Pentacles. So yeah, but before I talk about this, I'm getting these waves of communication from this person. So again, you've heard from them before, and you had hope for them before, and then you lost that hope. So these waves come in and they go away again. So they contact you again, and then they go away. And I think each time they come back, you're kind of angrier, and you have this little bit of hope, and it's all kind of very mixed in, lots and lots of mixed emotions in here. And I think each time they try again, logically, it's a little bit like, a pendulum, when you swing a pendulum, and the first swing goes really far backwards and forwards, and then each time it swings backwards and forwards, it goes closer and closer to the center. So there's less swing. So I think that's what's happening with you with this self-protection. Each time they come back again, the swing goes inwards, so it's less and less outwards, if that makes sense. So you're more protective of yourself. That's what your logical brain is. I know I keep repeating myself, but I still keep on getting this little bit of a flame that's still in there. Even if it's tiny, it's still in there a little bit. So with the King of Pentacles, I'll just talk about this now. A few different things here. The first thing is this king is, obviously, he's the most dependable king, extremely dependable. He's earth. And obviously, this person's swinging backwards and forwards like a pendulum. They're not like that. They're not dependable. They're not stable. Again, the logical side of your brain knows that. And, just looking at this king again, it feels very heavy. It feels very dark to me. If you look on his body, he's got all these, all these vine leaves all over him. His throne's very dark. His robes are very dark. Quite oppressive. It looks quite oppressive. So, and obviously this is Pentacles, this is money. So I think there might have been a time in your life when, in your past, when you had a lot more financially than you do now. I think you're in a better position financially at that time. But now it feels like you're a lot freer in a lot of other ways. And I think you're better off. I think you're better off in your heart than you were at that time. Maybe you were beholden to someone, because it feels quite trapped, actually. That's what I get here. When I look at all these vine leaves, it's like they're kind of growing all over him and they're trapping him. So I think that's how you used to feel. Even though you're better off financially, if this is resonating with you, you're better off in your heart now. And yeah, I'm just seeing this. I don't know who this is for. Might be for you, might not be. It's quite specific, but I'm just going to say this anyway. There's some kind of litigation, I think, that maybe you went through. Might have been a court case, something like that. It feels extremely stressful. Again, very, very heavy energy. It feels like it's over now. And maybe that's where this sense of freedom comes from for some of you. It feels like you could have fought a lot more than you did. It feels like you kind of ended this at a certain time. You walked away free. And I think you're more peaceful for having done that. And part of you might wonder sometimes, if I'd kept on fighting, would I have gotten more money in the end or whatever? My feeling is that you did the right thing. You walked away at the right time. I think you might have been slightly better off, but I think probably, as lawyers do, all the fees might have gone to them, all the money might have gone to them. So you might have been slightly better off, but a lot more drained, a lot more exhausted, mentally worse off, and a tiny bit better off financially, but not that much. So what I'm getting here is it probably wouldn't have been worth it if you had have kept going. So I think if that's you, you did the right thing. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with just a couple of people, probably, maybe even one person, but I just had to say that for someone. Okay, so the first card you have, your present, is, yeah, the Ten of Wands. So hard work, all that kind of thing. So yeah, see, this is what I'm picking up on. It's like I was in this situation before where I had more money, better finances, and life's not as easy as it used to be, which is what I'm seeing on this card. Obviously not as easy financially. It's a lot harder. I have to work harder. But I think if this is you, especially in this litigation thing, your mind's freer than it used to be. Your mind's freer. Even though the actual practical side of life's harder, your mind's freer and your heart's freer. And just look over at the Eight of Wands again. It's right next to this, obviously. I think some people might be looking at your past financial situation and looking at you now and saying, well, oh, poor Aquarius person, they're much worse off. They don't have what they used to. And they're seeing you differently to the way they used to see you. So maybe this is family. Maybe this is family that's seeing this. And I think these are kinds of the type of people that you're kind of trying to get away from or shelter yourself from in the Eight of Wands. I think a lot of these people, not everyone, but I think these particular people that see you differently now, they're quite superficial. They see the surface, they see the outside. But for you, you see the deeper. That's what you're all about, the deep conversations, deepness, all of that kind of thing. And, I actually think with this time that we're going through now, this time in history, I think we're all kind of moving away from that shallowness, that, what we look like, appearances, what we have, big houses, big cars, celebrities, all that kind of thing. We're moving away from that now because it's not as meaningful for us now. And I think when we come out of this, we're going to have a much deeper way of communicating and seeing each other. And that's why I think this is really your time. It's your time because it's your time to be deep. And I think the whole world's really changing in that way. So I'm going to get off that because I'm just talking about that, which has nothing to do with you. Well, it kind of is. But so if you're single, so I'm just going to tell you, if you're single, so what I'm now looking down at the Two of Cups. I'm getting away with myself, I know. I told you this was going to be a bit of a confusing reading. But yes, I'm talking about the Two of Cups now. So I'm getting a lot of meaning, a lot of meaningful conversations, and this is what you're about. And this is what I'm seeing coming to you if you haven't already had these conversations. There's some very meaningful conversations here. It's online. It's a conversation online. Now, it's a conversation that's starting off very slowly, and it's going to get a lot more interesting. And I think it's probably going to turn into, or it has the potential to turn into, excuse me, my throat's sore. It has the potential to turn into a love connection. And that's what this card's about. It's like conversations, friendship, gradually turning into love, turning into passion, which is what that winged lion is up there. So conversations turning into passion. And I think that's what's going to happen with someone. So if you're already talking with someone online, and you're having lots of really deep, really interesting conversations, it's kind of like they're on your intellectual level and they know that, and that makes them feel good and that makes you feel good. So it might be a work connection, it might not be, it could be anyone, but you're having very deep conversations. So you might not have had this yet, or you might have. But I think you're going to really take the time to get to know each other. And again, because this is online, you're not looking at what you look like, you're not looking at what you have. It's all about the conversation. And so that's perfect for you if this is you, and it's going to lead into love. And what's really interesting is there's a house right at the bottom of this card here. And again, it's up on a hill, exactly like the one in the Eight of Wands. So I think if things progress here, I think you're probably still going to be a little bit protective of yourself, which is what this whole reading is about. And that's absolutely fine, I think, because it means that you're going to go slowly. So I really, really hope that if you're single, you are going to have this conversation, because it's exactly the kind of connection that really, really suits you. Really, really, really suits you. Because for you, again, I'm seeing this everywhere. Unless you have a meaningful conversation or a meaningful connection with someone, it doesn't mean anything to you. It's like, well, what's the point? What's the point of talking about the weather and this and that? So that's kind of what I'm getting now. And so the last card, you have your presence, the High Priestess. Again, deep, deep, deep and meaningful. That's what this is about. And again, you only express how you feel to a very, 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 very few people. And so the other thing about the High Priestess is, she can be a woman up there, kind of on a pedestal, a little bit mysterious. Everyone kind of looks up to her. She has the wisdom. So I think when this person comes back to you, I think that's how you're going to want to appear to them. Someone who's not all that interested. And I think that's how they're going to see you. I think they played a few games with you actually in the past, and definitely if they come backwards and forwards, and if they've played games, and if they've treated you, especially if they've treated you like this horrible man on the Five of Swords, you don't owe them anything. You really, really don't. You absolutely don't. But again, there's that little bit inside you. So even though you're probably going to be quite aloof when they speak to you, there's still that little bit inside you that thinks, what do they have to say? Okay, let's give them one last chance. Not in love necessarily, but it's like, okay, let's just listen to what they have to say. So there's that little bit in you. But I think you are going to be quite aloof when they contact you, if this is all resonating with you. Okay, there's just another little thing I'm seeing here. I don't know if this is going to make sense. It's like flashes of dreams, if that makes sense to you. So it's kind of like, it's not like dreams. It's like you wake up and you have this little flash. It's like, oh, I remember that. Did I dream that or not? I don't know. I just remember seeing this face, or I remember seeing this place, an old house I used to live in, or something like that. Lots and lots of little flashes. And I think you'll keep on getting them if that's you. You'll keep on getting these little flashes of memory when you wake up, day after day. Maybe not every day, but you'll keep on getting them. So, and I think if that's you, I think there are some messages. There are some messages there in these dreams, or these flashes of memories. So I would, use my phone, use the notepad on my phone, or a piece of paper or something, and just write down the little memories, even if they're tiny. Oh, I remember this person's face. This is a woman I used to know years ago. Why am I seeing her here? So I'll write that down. Someone said 2 words to me. Okay, let's write that down. And I think eventually, if you do that, you'll piece together a kind of a puzzle. And that I think there are going to be some messages in that. So I know that sounds really bizarre and strange. It probably is. It's a bit crazy. But if that's you, you'll know what this is about. And so I think that's really what you should do, because I think there are some messages in there for you if that's you. Okay, I'm not going to talk about any more crazy things. So the first card you have, your future, is, yeah, the Tower. Right. No one likes seeing this. But do you know what I'm getting? I think this is actually quite positive for you. I'm getting this really strong feeling of rebirth. And I was seeing the start of that. So the start of that, because you've got the High Priestess and then you've got the Tower. So the start of a rebirth is really with this High Priestess. Spiritual woman, spiritual birth, spiritual experience. And then the end of that is with the Tower, which is all about rising out of the ashes. So, yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting. I don't know if this makes sense. So it's kind of like you've been on this wave, this roller coaster, these waves of energy with this person that keeps on coming in and out of your life all the time, backwards and forwards with this person, this ex-love connection. And, you know, just looking at this fire, because this is what I was getting you still had this little bit of a flame for them. And now that I'm seeing this Tower, I think what's going to happen is you're having this rebirth, you're getting this strength, and I think now you're going to extinguish this flame. This is really important in your life. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, I really don't want to end this axe. I really don't want to come to an end with this axe. But if this is you, I think that's what you're doing. You're going to come to this realization that, right, I'm finally going to put this to rest. It's the end. It's the end of this experience with this person. They've been backwards and forwards. They've treated me like this horrible person in the Five of Swords. I've come to the end of this. I know the Tower isn't built on any proper foundations. There's no depth here with this person. It's coming to an end. I'm going to extinguish this flame right now. And that's the end. And when I've extinguished this flame, I'm going to rise up out of these ashes. Absolutely beautiful. So I know the Tower's horrible for a lot of people, but for you, I think this is about your strength. This is about finally putting this roller coaster with this ex coming in and out of your life to an end, if this is you, and you're going to rise up out of that. So this is really, really good news for you. Usually the Tower's bad news. I think it's good news for you. Okay, so the next card you have, your future, is the King of Cups. Okay, I'm getting something completely different here. This is probably quite specific. I don't know who this is for, but I feel as if I need to say this for someone. It might just be one person. Now, I'm getting drinking, heavy drinking. I'm getting some really difficult conversations here. Probably late night conversations. Someone might be calling you and they might have been drinking, might be other kind of drugs, but it could be that as well. And they call you and, you know, they're saying all kinds of nonsense and it's really, really bothering you. So if this is you, if you've been on the receiving end of this kind of conversation, I think for a long, long time, maybe you're trying to hide how you're feeling. Maybe you're putting up with this. So I think now with this big shift that I'm seeing with High Priestess and the Tower, I think now you're going to get really, really brave. If this is you, I think you're just going to say no to this. You're going to say, no, I don't want to be on the receiving end of this. I don't want to hear these conversations. I don't want this anymore. I'm going to put my foot down. Now, if you try and get help for this person, which I think that might be how you're kind of leaning, because I think you do really care about this person, might be a relative. I think if you try and help them, if you tell them, I want to get you help, I think they're going to be resistant to that. It feels like they're in denial of how they are. It feels like they kind of, I know they do realise, every person who's like this knows, but they're in denial. They're pretending they can deal. Oh, I can handle my drink. I can handle this. I can, you know, I'm not like other people. So, you know, I think if you put your foot down, I think if you keep putting your foot down, if you say something like, you know, no, I'm not going to talk to you when you're like this. I'm only going to talk to you when you're sober. I'm not going to talk to you when you're like this. So if you want a conversation with me, it has to be when you're sober, when you're fine, when you sound normal. If you call me late at night, I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm only going to answer, you know, during the day in the morning. Might be that. Something like that.